The St. Genevieve Herald and St. Genevieve Community Access Television have annually presented candidate forums for local elections to provide information to viewers and readers before those elections. This year, the coronavirus pandemic pushed the April municipal election to June 2nd. And with social distancing and restrictions on public gatherings, instead of having forums this year, the Herald and the Community Access Television instead conducted one-on-one interviews with candidates in various races. We were unable to line up our schedules with the candidates in all the races, and we gave an opportunity for candidates in 3 races to participate in 2 nights of one-on-one interviews. Those races were the countywide races for St. Genevieve County R2 School District Board of Education and St. Genevieve County Memorial Hospital Board of Trustees. We also offered invitations to the candidates for the City of St. Mary mayoral election. My name is Toby Carrig. I'm the editor of the St. Genevieve Herald, and I asked candidates for certain offices various questions. I attempted to cover the same topics with each candidate, even though we may not have had the same questions due to how the conversations took place. Again, not all candidates were able to participate. We will have biographies and information on candidates in the May 27th edition of the St. Genevieve Herald. Thank you. We begin tonight with the St. Genevieve County Memorial Hospital Board. There are 3 candidates running for 1 seat, which has a 5-year term. The 3 candidates are Kevin Schaaf, Cynthia Glassie, and Bruce Geisler. And tonight we begin with Cynthia Glassie.
Hello, I'd like to introduce myself, Cynthia Glassie. My parents are Ray and Naomi Glassie. I have 2 remaining siblings. That would be Alan and Sonia Glassie. Alan's married to Kim Tatum Glassie, and my sister is married to Jake Zacchaeus. They live in Collinsville. And I have 1 brother, Michael Glassie, and he's deceased. My educational background, I lose my train of thought. I graduated from St. Genevieve High School in 1987, and I graduated from Jefferson College in 1989. Most of my work experience is in the contract security field. I won't go into that because you can read it in the newspaper. My community involvement is I have volunteered at the hospital since 2011. I've put in approximately 4,500 volunteer hours. I've previously been the correspondence secretary. I've been the first vice president. I am currently the president and the fundraising chairperson. I've been that for 2 years. I'm also going to be that another 2 years, so my term will be up in 2022. That's not normal. That's kind of this whole this whole thing this year. The important issues that I think pertain to the reason that I'm running is that I want to keep our healthcare local. I don't want us to be taken over by another hospital or a big hospital system, which is why we're getting ready to choose a new CEO, because Mr. Keim obviously is retiring. Our new CEO, they need to understand the rural healthcare, and they need to understand the attitude of a rural community. In light of the coronavirus, companies have gotten creative with meetings, distance learning, and employees working from home. I think the new CEO needs to be willing to look at these options as possible money savers, if possible. My next thing is aging physicians, surgeons, nurses, and healthcare workers. The median age of rural general or primary physicians is 48, and the median age of a rural general surgeon is over 50. I believe we should be actively recruiting and are networking with medical schools, looking for doctors and surgeons who would like a rural practice. I would further like to discuss the topic of security and being accessible. Being accessible to the community is what we strive to be, but it does come with some risk. The hospital already uses swipe badges as a security measure and does drills. I feel more could be done unobtrusively, and out of the public eye. One obvious measure would be to line the information desk at the front entrance, at the ER, and the new doctor's office entrance that we just added on to, and maybe other places. Those were just off the top of my head, with metal or some material. So if there is an incident, it would be a place to duck rather than a place to run from. Why should I be elected? I've been volunteering at the hospital for 9 years. Which I feel shows my interest in and for the future of the hospital. I have an ongoing working relationship with the volunteers, employees, and administration. It's already established, and I see firsthand the vital work of everyone on staff. I appreciate the genuine smile, the niceness in our frontline employees, and one of my goals is to make sure that the compassion continues for patients and the community. If you've ever been in a big hospital up in St. Louis, you really appreciate the compassion that is down here. You just really do. I'm fully invested in our hospital, and I want to help it flourish. Therefore, I would be an excellent addition to the St. Louis County Memorial Hospital Board of Trustees.
All right. You hit almost all the topics, and you left me almost no questions. So,
well, you can make a few up.
I have a couple I kind of prepared, so I'll still try to work them in.
Okay.
You talked about, and I've heard from others about the importance of finding the right successor for Tom Kine.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you believe voters should select you to be part of that process, to be part of that decision making?
Well, I think there are, having gone to the different, as an auxiliary partners member, I get to go to these conventions and network, and I see who he networks with, which is all the other hospitals. And I read things, I get to read those things, and I realize how important rural healthcare is. And I don't know that someone that doesn't get to do that would realize how important rural healthcare is, the rural part. Mm-hmm. They might just think, oh, we can pick someone up from a St. Louis hospital and pluck them down here in St. Genevieve, and they would do just fine. Well, I think you would definitely have to screen them so they realize that the issues at a rural hospital in a rural community are totally different than someone that's used to dealing with things like up in St. Louis or a big city.
Okay. And then the other question I had for you, you also mentioned about being an independent hospital and being a strong local hospital. Mm-hmm. What kind of steps do you think need to take place to ensure that that's part of the future here?
Well, we need to it's really hard after this coronavirus. I mean, we were doing great. Honestly, after this coronavirus, I mean, probably, and not starting on the board, but I would think there's probably going to have to be a lot of things, probably a lot of loans. They're probably going to have to be renegotiated. But I don't know that, I don't know that, with me not knowing, but probably keeping the money flowing in is going to be probably the major thing. And I just imagine, keeping employees, keeping the surgeries up because they had to stop the elective surgeries. That would be my thinking.
All right. So I'll let you close if you want to say any final words that you think people should elect you on election day.
I just I just think with knowing everything that I know and dealing with everything that I deal with, and when I'm at the hospital quite a lot because I'm the president and I'm the fundraising chairman, so I kind of get to float from department to department, and I hear things from, all these departments, and I hear the admin side, and in I call it my previous life, I was a supervisor, so I know the I don't know what you call it, the side of a supervisor, and um, I hear things, let's just put it that way, and I know what's going on. So I think I would be a very good addition to the hospital board.
All right.
I think I would, yes.
Great. Well, appreciate your time. Thanks very much.
All right, thank you so much.
We begin tonight with the St. Genevieve County Memorial Hospital Board. There are 3 candidates running for 1 seat, which has a 5-year term. The candidates are Kevin Schaff, Cynthia Glassie, and Bruce Geisler. And tonight we'll speak with Mr. Geisler.
Thank you, Toby. Thanks for the opportunity. Introduce myself. I'm Bruce Geisler. I've lived in the community majority of my life. I've been married to my wife, Diane, for 43 years. We have 3 children and 5 grandchildren. As far as my experience in the medical field, I've served on the Friends Foundation board, and my wife has been an RN for 40 plus years and currently works at the County Health Department, and prior to that worked at St. John County Memorial Hospital. So I'm very familiar with what the challenges they have. My education background is I graduated from St. Genevieve High School. My post-secondary education, including an associate's degree in aviation technology from State College of Missouri and a bachelor's degree in business administration and management from Lindenwood University. Professionally, I've been employed at Mississippi Lime Company for the past 34 years, holding numerous management positions. My present position responsibilities include managing major capital projects at remote locations around the country and including St. Genevieve. Prior to working at Mississippi Lime, I worked at McDonnell Douglas in the astronautics division on the cruise and harpoon missile programs. And prior to McDonnell Douglas, I worked for North America Rockwell on a space shuttle program. Mentioned earlier, community involvements. I currently hold the position of board president of directors for the St. John County Memorial Hospital Friends Foundation. I've been on the board for 8 years. Other activities, I was always involved with my children's activities, including Boy Scouts, Little League Baseball, gym hockey, wrestling programs. Also was involved with the Bloomsdale Knights of Columbus, including being the chairman for the state horseshoe tournament, and co-chaired that event.
Okay. Let me begin by asking you why you're running for office.
Oh, I've always enjoyed giving back to the community, and I was asked that question when I was asked to get on the Friends Foundation charitable board. I felt as my kids grew and moved off to college and since moved from college into having their own families, I wanted to give back, and I felt by doing something in the medical field, which my wife's career is in, it allowed me to give back to everybody. So when we make, currently working in the Friends Foundation and make decisions, it's not to benefit an individual, it's to benefit everybody in the community and even outside of our community as those people come into our community for services. So I look at the hospital board as the same way, is giving back my time. It's a non-paying position, giving back my time to the community that I so love and chose to raise my family here with my wife.
All right. For our newspaper, we've asked candidates to talk about their priorities, and some of the candidates have mentioned the importance of finding the right successor for CEO Tom Keim. Why do you believe voters should select you to be part of that decision-making process?
I think they should select me because of my experience. I have interviewed many people over the years in management positions, understanding a person's character, what motivates them, what do they bring to our community, what do they bring to add or match up to what Mr. Keim has done so wonderfully at our hospital in his time here. Looking for a candidate that wants to grow our business, not just maintain our business. If we don't stay modern, we don't stay ahead of the game, we'll get past. And if we get past the size of our community, it'll be tough to catch back up. So as the community hospital has been going for a good while now, we're out ahead of a lot of the local community hospitals, so that's important. The other thing I bring, Toby, is my experience working with the Friends Foundation. Being president of Friends Foundation, I'm involved with business decisions on the donation side. I'm involved with the charitable side on raising money, involved with a lot of decisions. We have a lot of bylaws that we have to abide by, so I'm very familiar with that. It also gave me an opportunity to collaborate with Tom Keim and his staff on different subjects and items. Another one is a legacy campaign, which is a very big part of the expansion of the hospital, which is so critical in keeping us out front, as I earlier mentioned. I've been involved with that from the very get-go, including looking at drawings with Tom. So I understand the hospital's goals and want to make sure we bring someone in to continue on with those goals.
Okay. Some people also mentioned the importance of the independence and the strength of the local hospital not being taken over by a corporate hospital or branch of hospitals. What do you think needs to take place for St. Genevieve County Hospital Memorial to continue to be a strong, independent hospital?
We have to stay financially stable. That's a key, and we are there. And the decisions that are made out there has that in mind. If you're not, you'll be swallowed up. And I think it's very important we try to maintain our independence, because it's allowed us to bring a very high level of physicians and caregivers into our community, that they're not tied up, nothing against the large hospitals, but they're run at a different mode. And there's bureaucracy that the physicians and the healthcare workers have to go through, the policies and procedures where they have a little bit more freedom to interact with their patients. And what we have seen, and I've got to know the physicians very well, some of them very well, on the phone with them pretty regularly, and that's one of the things they tell me, that they really enjoy having that face-to-face, hand-to-hand, know that person. I don't know where you can go to many places and walk in and see a doctor in a grocery store and they know you by first name, and I think that's something that's really good.
All right. Last question is, why do you think you should be elected to the office?
Again, I think my experience in the business world, my experience that I've been very blessed and fortunate to have through Mississippi Lime Company over the years has allowed me to do a lot of different things in management, operations, financial work. It allows me to understand the importance of budgeting, understands the importance of prioritization, understanding the importance of following guidelines, both state, local, federal, and the importance of communicating out into the community. I also have a good rapport with the current hospital administration and quite a few of the physicians I know personally. So I feel like I'm a good candidate. And then again, with my 8 years of experience in the Friends Foundation.
All right. Anything else you need to say in closing?
No, thank you very much. I appreciate this opportunity.
Okay. It's good to have you here. Thanks so much.
You.
The St. Genevieve R2 School District Board of Education has 3 seats up for election and 4 candidates for office. The terms are for 3 years, and the 4 candidates are Martha Riesinger, Eric Geisler, James Kirchner, and Joshua Carlisle. We'll begin with James Kirchner.
Hello there. I'm James, and it's going to look like James Jim on the ballot because I go by Jim. I'm running for the school board to keep it going, I think, in a positive way. Right now, it seems to, except for, of course, the COVID-19, which threw everybody off. But we've been pretty fortunate in the district to be able to keep a pretty high rating in the state, like we're number 18, I think, out of 500 some schools. So that's one reason I'm running, just to keep things hopefully going, and hopefully people know that I'm kind of trustworthy and honest. I'm married. My wife is Pat. We have 3 kids, Tracy Capps, Brad Kirchner, and Angela Rutler. So they all went to St. Jen and they all graduated from there. And I have 5 grandkids in there now. We have 9 and 2 great-grandkids. So they don't all live around here, but the ones that do are going to St. Jen. So Uh, I don't know. I'm just proud of the district and what it's, has accomplished.
All right. We talked a little bit about the coronavirus. How would you rate the district's actions with the response to the coronavirus pandemic? And what do you think you'd like to see in the fall in terms of how the district can keep students safe and workers safe?
Okay. Well, I personally think that they have done a great job because there's nothing to go by.
Mm-hmm.
This is all brand new to everybody. They've been able to keep kids fed, and they need that. The teachers have been able to keep kids educated because they're working. I know my daughter-in-law is a teacher at Bloomsdale, and she's been really busy trying to keep the kids going. So I know that the school district itself is working really hard to do that. As far as the fall goes, I don't know if anybody really knows. I hope it's normal, like it always is, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think things like just passing pencils around and stuff like that is going to change. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how it'll change or what, but it'll change, and hopefully it won't change so much that we don't recognize it as school anymore. Right. That would be a bad thing.
And what do you think are some of the other big issues that face the district? And do you have any ideas in terms of addressing
right now it's pretty much the budget, really. With Wholesome going to be going offline, or they're going to be going into the tax thing where they're going to have to start paying taxes. So our school district really does count on them for right now. And if they would happen to, protest their taxes or whatever, it would be a big blow to the school district. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but they're planning right now for that. So that's one of the really big issues, I think, right now.
So it's mostly budget process planning for if that happens.
Planning for it, yeah. And I think we've been doing that, for years already. So something that you have to look at.
Right. You've been on the board for how many years?
23 years. Okay. But I kind of, I ran, then I lost,
right.
And I ran again.
Right.
So over the period, it's been 23 years.
And why do you think voters should put you back on the school board again?
Well, like I said, I hope that they know I'm honest, trustworthy. I want to see what's best for the kids. And I think so far, we're doing that as a board, we work together to do that. I do have experience that is important. I mean, if you're going into something new, it's a real learning process. So that I hope counts in my favor too. I just hope people will see me, if they know me, as who I am. And I don't know. Just hope they will vote.
All right. Anything else you want to say to voters?
No, just that it is coming up already on June the 2nd. Mm-hmm. And with everything that's happened, people may forget or they may not want to get out or whatever. But it's really important that you do that. Mm-hmm. You do vote. So please do. All right. If you want to vote for me, that'd be great.
All right. Thanks much. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate you letting me do that.
You bet. The St. Genevieve R2 School District Board of Education has 3 seats up for election and 4 candidates for office. The terms are for 3 years. The candidates are Martha Riesinger, Eric Geisler, James Kirchner, and Joshua Carlisle. And we'll begin with Martha Riesinger.
Hi, I'm Martha Riesinger. I have 3 grown kids. One lives in Kansas, one lives in Barnhart, and the other one lives in Bloomsdale. I have 3, and all 3 of them graduated from St. Gen. I graduated from St. Gen. My husband graduated from Valley, and I have 6 grandchildren and 2 senior boys. What a year it's been for them. Love them all. But anyway, I've been married to my husband for 49 years. Well, I guess that's all.
That's awesome. And you've been on the school board for?
Oh, I've been on the school board for 30 years. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, something I asked later
Okay.
for someone else, but you mentioned 30 years. Why do you want to continue to be on the school board at this point?
I'm telling you, Toby, when I first got on the school board, I knew what it was about. And back then, it was so different because we didn't have any money. And I remember when I got on, and I was running against some very good candidates, and just listening to them and going to all the meetings. I went to the meetings probably about a year before I decided that I wanted to go. And I just wanted to be involved with the school district. I knew that there was something that I thought that I could offer, and that was, I was passionate about the school, and I love kids. So those two things, I thought, you know what, I could work with them. But the very first year was the toughest. We didn't have any money, and we were going to have to shut down some of the sports. And, people thought we were lying, but, after really going through it and showing everybody and telling everybody, they realized that we were in some trouble. And with Mr. Stewart and his knowledge, I mean, he was amazing when it come to school finances. And he's the one that brought us to where we are today. And then with, Dr. Lindsay and Dr. Fleeg, and Mrs. Jokers. But those guys have really done a great job with our school district. And I not only serve on our school board, I wanted to be more involved with the state school board. And so I was nominated to the regional leadership meetings or committee, and I ran them for probably 5 years. Then I was asked to join the Missouri School Board Association. And Toby, when I first went to those meetings, I would go up there and I'd just listen to what and at that time there was 45 of us, 45 different school districts. And I'm telling you, just to hear what they had to say, I'm thinking, oh gosh, how can we take some of that back to St. Genevieve? How can we do this and whatever? And so that was one of the things that I was able to do, was to bring some of that stuff back. And working, and not only me, as I brought that back, the board and the superintendents, we worked hard to make some of this stuff happen. And all we're doing is we're moving forward. We're a small town, but I'm telling you what, we're one of the best school districts in the state. And it was, and I feel that I was part of it. I was not the only one that did that, but I feel that I was a part of it. So now when I go back to my meetings in Columbia, they ask me, how did you get this started, or how did you get that started? And we're really excited about that. So I think the 30 years, I know, there's people that think, 30 years, don't you think it's time to give it up? Well, it is if you're not, if your heart's not in it. But my heart is, this is what I want to do. I love kids, and I want to make sure that they get the best public education that they can.
All right. How would you rate this district's response and actions to the coronavirus pandemic, and what would you like to see in terms of in the fall, in terms of how to keep students and workers safe?
Toby, I'll tell you what, I can't be more proud, and I don't know that any parent, well, I can't speak for parents. I know it was tough on them, because I know some parents that, well, I don't know how to do this math or whatever because we didn't do it this way and all that stuff. It was tough for them, but our teachers, I know the things that they're doing and how they reach out and what they're doing. And there's kids that I work with, they're more adult kids or high school kids, but they're so excited because now when they get to have those Zoom meetings with their teachers, even the younger ones that I'm talking with, some of the parents, they just think they just love it. A couple of them said, can we do this all the time? But that's not going to happen. And I know that's not the best of everything, but anybody made a difference. I know our school district, our teachers, and I'm not just saying this because I'm up for election. I've told them this before, way before now. but they are amazing, and their true love are these kids, and they want them to learn. And some of the kids that don't have like the internet access and all that, they do everything they can to make sure that those kids get that. So as far as the COVID, I do know that they're cleaning, and we had our first meeting the other night, our school board meeting, and we sat around and we were in there, and you could see that, you know, everything was clean, and we were a good 6 feet apart. And for the fall, to start the fall, the way it's looking, I'm not saying that's going to happen here, but I think through the state, if they go back in August or the later part of August, I think social distancing will be a big factor in that for a while. You know, and depending, you know, like, we are an amazing town. I mean, people just, when we were told not to do something or whatever, we didn't. Did we? You know, I think everybody enjoyed it for a little bit. It's just the idea that you're constantly, and you know what I really think it is? It's the kids, that your kids are involved, and you're not used to being home at that slow pace. I know I wasn't. I don't think I ever stayed home. And when my grandson didn't play in the sports but oh my gosh, what are we going to do? But we found things, you know, and I honestly feel, and I've talked to many parents, and they felt, and they said this, and it was so nice to hear this, that they were able to sit down and have meals together and not be on the run and not do this or not do that. Other than the fact that it was hard for them to help with the homework, I think a lot of the families enjoyed it for a while. You know, maybe 3 months, that's a lot, but no, I know I enjoyed it.
Some positives in there.
Absolutely.
More family time.
I think that's it, a positive. You know, and I talked to some seniors. God bless them, I love them so much. And talking to them, you know what they said? You know, it could have been worse. And I said, well, it could be worse, but you want to tell me why you think it could be worse? Well, we could not be able to go, you know, it could be going on. We might not get to start college. At least we get to have graduation. We may not have it when we wanted to, but, you know, so there, I don't think I've talked to any senior that is really upset, other than the fact that they didn't get to play baseball. God bless them, you know, or the kids that are softball. You know, other than that, they're okay with it. I think they're better off than we are, you know, in a sense. And it's neat when you talk to them. They make you feel, it's like, don't worry about us. We'll be okay. This is something that we'll be able to remember when we're and one kid, and you know, after this, I heard this several times. Then one of the kids said, "You do know that our class was the 9/11 class?" And I said, "No, I didn't think that." But you know, when you think about 9/11 and then the COVID, and I said, "Well, you know what, you guys?" I said, "Just keep this and just pray it up." Yeah, I just love kids.
What do you think are some of the other biggest issues facing the district, and what ideas would you have to address them?
Probably the district-wise, well, I do know funding is, the governor already stated that transportation funding's not going to be there, and some of the other, so that's going to be something that we're going to have to work with, because our a couple of the businesses, you know, their taxes are not going to be with us anymore. So we'll have to work through our budget. And I've worked with budgets, so I do know, you know, how to go about that and work with that. But I feel that we have an amazing administration, and whenever they need help, they're not afraid to ask for it. You know, they'll go to the person that they need, and I think they work great with the county assessor. And I think with the guidance that they'll get, that we'll have that. One other thing is probably what's big now on state issue is the the chartered schools. You know, I think they have their place, definitely not here. You know, The only thing that I really don't like about them is that they're not mandated, and they don't have the rules that we have, and that's why you want to take money away from schools that are doing what they're supposed to do, and then give it to schools that don't have to be held accountable, and that would be kind of tough. So those are probably the biggest.
Okay. Last, let me have you take some closing words. You can talk about why you should be elected, or whatever you want to say.
I would hope that for anyone that knows me, knows my passion for the school district and for the students and how I work hard, because I do, or that I did go out and we go to the legislative forums every year, which is up at the state capitol. We talk to our legislators. In fact, we're on, first name basis with them, our governor, our senators. So, when we, and even if it's something that we can't control, or, well, we have an input on it, put it that way, but we work hard. And so I'm not just at home and going to my board meetings. I'm gone to Jeff City a lot. I've gone to Columbia a lot. And, and we as board members, all board members and the administration, we have a conference every year. And all of us go. And we go to different sessions. That way we can bring back, different things that we've learned and grow as a school board. We work amazingly together. And are we always, does everybody agree on everything? No, but you learn to agree to disagree. And that's kind of how it was. And I was on there one time with a board member, and we didn't, it was my first year on the board, and I spoke, and he was like, okay, well, we don't do that. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, he'll never talk to me again. I was at a softball or a baseball game, and he hollered at me, and I was scared to go. And I went over there, and he said, come sit by me. And I said, you're not mad at me for last night? And he goes, Martha, that was at the board meeting. That's over with. And, and from that day, that's how it is. You may not agree, and that's okay. But I was always told that you vote and you do what your heart tells you to do. If you're right, if you're that into it, or if you truly believe that that's what it is, no matter what, you vote that way. And that's how I've always voted. So, and I just hope that people know that my passion, and I work hard. I feel that I'm honest, and many a times that anytime that somebody calls me, we don't get those phone calls anymore. Not as much anyway. I can't say none, but I work hard on trying to help them get their answers, and sometimes it's just a simple, you need to do this, and they do that, and so I just feel that it's a love that I have, and I'll work hard.
All right. Great. Thanks much. The St. Genevieve R2 School District Board of Education has 3 seats up for election and 4 candidates on the ballot. The terms are for 3 years, and the candidates are Martha Riesinger, Eric Geisler, James Kirchner, and Joshua Carlisle. And tonight we have Eric Geisler.
Hello. So I've been on the Board of Education, I believe, for 8 years now, and it's been a great experience. I love the fact to be able to be involved with kids. The whole reason I've ever started to be on the board, it was for kids. I've got kids in the district. I still got, I'll graduate one next year, and then still got a couple more behind that. So it's just good to be involved with your kids and kids in general in the school. It's been a pretty good 8 years, and so I'm just seeking re-election. I'm going to try another term here. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things I've asked the candidates about is the coronavirus pandemic and kind of the district's actions to respond to that. How would you rate kind of what the district has done this spring, and then what would you like to see in the fall that would help keep the students and the employees safe?
Well, every day changes with this coronavirus, and I think we've done a really good job. At our last board meeting, we talked about connectivity with the kids. I mean, we're almost every student in our county has got internet connection that they're able to correspond with their teachers and their counselors, administrators, and so I think we're doing the best that we possibly can, and I'm really proud of how we have responded. I go back and forth, part of me just wishes that we could just get back to school a little bit, but then you worry about the safety. Safety is always going to be number one concern. In the fall, I don't really know. It's going to be different, I sure hope we can get back in the classroom, but we got to listen to the professionals, who understand, and our teachers, administrators, they'll come up with the right solution to get kids back in the classroom. As a parent, it's my kids are luckily old enough to where they can kind of do their own things, but sometimes it's a struggle. It's not easy to be a parent, and as a parent, we want our kids back in school, back in sports. But I think we're going to listen to what we're supposed to do and go from there.
All right. What do you think are some of the biggest issues facing the district, and what ideas do you have to address those?
Oh, always some every year maybe funding for education, bills that get kind of passed through, and that kind of take stabs at public education to try to take money away and put money in hands of individuals who charter schools and vouchers and things like that. It seems like every year that's always a battle, and this is something that's going to probably be year after year, and it always comes down money. Everybody needs money in order to operate their business. Well, we need money to operate a school, to pay our teachers, to have all these programs and things. So you got to stay on top of things and talk to your senators and representatives and things to hopefully everybody's in it for the right reasons to help public education. So it seems like finance, that's always probably the biggest issue I feel that always faces public education every year.
Mm-hmm. All right, 8 years on the board, why do you think you should be reelected?
Well, in the 8 years, I think I've done pretty good. I've got along with every superintendent, every administrator, and I thought about, I should write down all the things that over the 8 years that man, I'd have a book. It's amazing. You think, nothing really changes much, but man, there's so much that changes every year in public education, just with our schools. And I just want to see our successes continue. I want to be a part of it. As long as my kids are at this school, I want to be a part of it and see it into the future. So.
All right. Any closing comments, Ron?
Just that, kids come first. Any decision I ever make, being a board member, I sit and think, how will it affect kids? If it is in a positive manner, I'm all for it. If it's not, it's something that, I may not be in support of. We came up with a set of norms, kind of like things that we kind of follow as board members, and I think they're posted before each board meeting now in our board packet, in those list of norms. And right off the bat, one of the first things is what do we do, for our kids? It's always about kids, their safety. It has to affect them in a positive manner. So as long as I can keep thinking that way and believing that, I think I'll be fine, and hopefully everybody will support me and vote for me then as well.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Okay.
That'll do it. The mayor of the city of St. Mary's serves a 2-year term, and there were 3 candidates for the office: Gloria Bader, Paul Franklin, and Carl Wyatt. Mayor Bader and Paul Franklin were unable to attend the interview sessions, but we did hear from Mr. Wyatt.
Was mayor for about, I think, 14 years, 15 years. I got about 17 years, 20 aldermen and mayor. I don't remember exact numbers. I'm pretty proud of my record I had as a mayor. Served several terms and always had a balanced budget, always. I know times are a little different now than it was then, but you got to live within your time too. But I've served the city well. I've served 25 years on the fire department, and my work record's always been good all my life. I was union official for several years. I know about negotiating contracts and things, and I don't know why, but I wanted to get back in and try to help the city. My wife asked me to get out of time before, and I thought it was time to turn it over to younger people and better, but it don't look like it worked out very good. But she tried to talk me into getting back in and said, you're going to have to get back in or we're going to have to move. So I'm going to give it a try. I know I can help the city. I know I can. If you give me a board that works for the city and not for individuals, I can help the city. And I won't turn down no chamber money neither. But I don't expect the chamber to run the city neither. I'm vice president of the chamber. We work hard for the city. We don't put demands on the city. And we help them with the small items. We cannot run the city. We cannot finance the city. But we can help them with the important issues. I don't know how many police cars we bought them or paid the biggest part of, fire trucks. That's what we do. We want to help the city. And as mayor, I have do pull both ways. But I think if elected, I can help. I can't bring it all overnight, but I think I can help.
All right. When people go to the election to vote for the office of mayor, they're also going to be voting on whether to allow UTVs on city streets. Do you think the city should allow UTVs on city streets?
I do not. And I don't keep it no secret. I mean, if it costs me a vote or if it don't. I have, and I meant to bring it, and you might have seen it. I obtained this a few months ago from City Hall, a letter from the city's insurance company stating that if you allow illegal vehicles on the street, and someday somebody gets hurt, and they'll sue the city too, because you authorize the use of illegal vehicles on the street. Now that's a letter from the St. Mary's insurance agent. And I've read it several times. I started to send it to all the residents, but the board should have made that announcement. The city should know it, the residents should know it, but they didn't. But I ain't scared to say how I feel about it. I own 2 side by side. They do not belong on public streets. They're not made for it. They don't have titles. They are not. Somebody's going to get hurt one of these days, and somebody's going to get sued. And the city's going to go with it. I'm against it. They don't belong there. They're not built for it.
All right. Do you think the city will have a police department again in the future, and what would it take to make that happen?
That would be one of the most first thing that I put effort into is we getting a city attorney, a prosecuting attorney, and if we have to, part-time police department to start with, but there is a need for it. There's enough violations there to support most of it. The only reason they lost their police, first place, It went back when they fired Mark, or forced him out. And the officers they had after that, some of them was good, some of them was better, but they thought because you're writing speeding tickets, you was a good officer. To me, that's just part of keeping the law, but enforcing the ordinances is one of the most important things a police officer does. But, and I don't mean writing tickets. I mean working with the people and trying to get them to do and clean up and do what they're supposed to. The last resort of any officer should be a ticket for, but if it comes to that, it should happen too. But enforcement of the ordinances is the most important thing a police officer is supposed to be. And that's true about speeders and everything else. But as mayor, when I was mayor all them years, I never fixed a ticket, not one. I told that police officer, if you write it, you defend it, because I won't take it, I won't remove it. I don't care who you are. If you write to me, my wife, or anybody, if you write a ticket, it's going to court. And I never did.
And do you think there'd be enough to support the police department by the citations that they write, that kind of thing?
They can't, it won't completely support it. But if your water and sewer is managed right and did right, and they quit pulling out of everything else to support something that's supposed to be supporting itself. Now, they raised the water rates enough. If it's properly managed, they don't have to be raised. But they're having to catch up what they didn't raise. They thought they was doing good because they got 2 water raises and they didn't raise the rate. And if your rate goes up, you got to raise yours. That's just all there to it, and they didn't do it. And if the water and the sewer starts supporting itself like it's supposed to, and it can, there's waste, there's management, there's changes. And once it does that, then your money's back there for your department. Your tax dollar, general fund has to support some of the police department. Citations can't, it would almost be illegal because if it's too much of your budget, it would be. But it could support it. It did for years and years and years, and it can again. And things ain't changed that much. I mean, this deal with we got right now going on is hurting everything. But this is not going to stay here forever. And we started having our problems long before we got this. So that's not the excuse. But it can come back. I know, and I would have, because I asked the chamber to help maybe get a police car again, a good police car and things, but things like that. But we can start out part-time and grow. We can get an ordinance writer, but we got to enforce our ordinances.
All right. Any closing comments you want to make?
No, the only thing I would ask if, they consider not only voting for me, but get a good board that will work with, and I can work with almost anybody. I have for years. I know how to work with it, and I know how to run a meeting. I've done it, and I can do it again, but my only agenda is to help the city. Back in '93, when I lost my home, I could have took that buyout money. I could have lived anywhere I wanted to. And I like St. Mary's. And I've been through 3 more floods, and I finally moved up on the hill out of the flood, but I'll die in St. Mary's if I ain't traveling somewhere. I love my city. And if I get a chance, I'll try to bring it back out again.
All right.
It won't be for lack of effort. That's about it.
All right, great. Thanks much. I appreciate it.
Okay.